£500 million a year. Within that, we deliver about 5,500 projects, ranging from about 20k to 117 million. Now, the delivery of that programme of work feeds into a lot of serviceability targets that get reported, and we report out on 41 sub-programme areas in terms of our reporting out. So what's important to portfolio is to demonstrate that we're in control. Control will be a word you might hear quite a lot from me. I'll try not to labour it too much because it means different things to different people. But why do we need that control? And it's all about confidence. Confidence in our ability to deliver the programme. We've talked about efficiency and all sorts of other things, but from a portfolio perspective, that's kind of a given. And what we're going for here is to provide that confidence to the customer, our owner, our regulators, both environmental and economic, and to our own board, our own ELT, confidence that we're in control of delivering the capital programme. So what's important to portfolio around that? What will give us that confidence? Well, it's delivering to plan, doing what we said we were going to do. We've talked quite a lot about delivering to plan, but historically we've not been brilliant at forecasting. That's even monthly variations, quarterly variations, annual variations, and forecasting is incredibly important to us because it allows us to do all the things we've been talking about in terms of planning. That forecasting is in both milestones and in forecast project costs, LBEs. All very important to us. What we tend to get a wee bit is a bit of a tension between an optimism bias in our forecasting and building in, shall we say, a wee bit of slack to outperform. One gives us problems because we promise things up front and don't deliver them. The other one gives us problems because we've got a customer need out there and we're not delivering it quickly enough. So it's that sort of tension around that. And really for me, in terms of the delivering to plan, is that no surprises thing we all hear about. There always will be surprises. Didn't I just tell you there was 5,500 projects in the capital programme? Some of them will not go to plan. But it's trying to manage out that risk, very important to portfolio. Another thing that's really important to portfolio, and I think it was touched on earlier in conversations, was not spending too much time on the interface between ourselves and the alliances. And that doesn't mean I don't like coming to events like this and seeing all you wonderful people. What I mean is, it was alluded to earlier, but the number of meetings we have, the number of times we get together, the number of times we report to each other. What I don't want to do is I don't want it to feel like hard work, the relationship. Don't want to be involved in micromanaging the alliances. Equally, I don't want to be pushed away by the alliances. There's kind of a happy medium there in terms of contact, where we both know what's expected of us, we both know what's happening, we involve each other at the right times, and the programme gets delivered. What else is important to me? Early issue identification and resolution. One thing we are not very good at is solving problems. We let them spin too long. So what's important for us is use the escalation routes we put in place. When we have an issue, when we have a concern, flag it up. If we're not talking about it, we can't solve it. And when we're talking about it, it's really important that we get all the right information on the table, because sometimes we start talking about an issue without fully understanding it. If we fully understand the issue, we can come to a decision a lot quicker. So quick decision making is really important for me. Early issue identification, talk to each other. If you have concerns, it was alluded to earlier, I think Mark said that a bit of dancing around handbags, let's put it on the table, let's bring them out, let's discuss them. Another thing that's really important from a portfolio's perspective is a common understanding. Sometimes we've had problems in the past from that lack of common understanding in terms of what our delivery vehicles are actually there to do. That lack of understanding can be on both sides. You make an assumption that everyone is fully aware of what they're there to do, and that might not necessarily be the case. We have to be clear on our responsibilities. Things like programme rules, we'll talk about that quite a lot. We have to be quite clear what our responsibilities around them are. And governance, change control. One of the things that's really important to us, because we get audited quite a lot, is to have an effective governance structure in place and to manage change effectively. That helps us all. If we manage change to what we're doing, we're all very clear on what we have to deliver. And if we have an effective governance structure around that, we're able to demonstrate to both internal and external auditors that we're in control of the programme. And that leads us back into that confidence thing again. Confidence in the delivery programme is very important because it gets a lot of focus and we have to demonstrate that confidence. Last thing of the 5 things I picked out that have been important for portfolio is getting the programme planning right. And that was a discussion we were just having there that I was listening to, not really going to engage in, just listening to. And we talked about asset intelligence, we talked about cost intelligence earlier, we heard that from our SCFP colleagues. You'll hear about programme intelligence from us, but what we really need is delivery intelligence from you guys. And we need to understand these different levels of intelligence and mash them all together to make sure we get that value to the customer that Alan was talking about earlier. We get involved in all sorts of things in terms of, that feeds into the sort of delivery plan aspect, to deliver on our promises. If we don't get it right at the beginning, it's a stick to beat you with. If we get it right at the beginning, it's a tool to help us in terms of that planning. So we get involved in delivery plan refresh every year. We generate programme templates, allow us to do that sort of forward planning. We need your help in that as well. Risk provisioning in the programme, in terms of that, getting the programme planning right, carrying the right level of risk in the programme, understanding that level of risk and managing that risk, very important to us. But equally, in terms of getting the programme planning right, it's something I think Alan said right at the beginning, and it was about learning. Knowledge intelligence, there's another one I'm going to throw at you. Lots of intelligences floating about. That knowledge intelligence is very important to us because typically it takes us about 2 years to deliver a project, our big projects. And if we're not learning from that until we're 2 years in, then all of our other projects, 50% of them are through our CapEx 3 gateway, and we can't actually learn from them. What we have to do is make sure that we learn from our variations. We'll see variations in delivery milestones, we'll see variations in project forecast costs. We need to understand when it happens, why it's happening, categorise it, understand it, feed it back to the business as learning so we can improve on it. So they're the kind of things that are important to me. What we're struggling with, we just heard from that last conversation what we're struggling with. The instability at the end of a capital programme and all the issues around that, and the challenges of trying to get another one off the ground while we're in the middle of a structural change in terms of our organisation. So time, there's a lot of demands on our time at the moment, and that's something we are struggling with. What we pride ourselves on. We kind of pride ourselves on outperforming against planned delivery because we tend to do that. We've got a history of outperforming against planned delivery. What we need to add to that mix is efficient outperformance against planned delivery, and that's the next challenge we need to take forward. Governance is something else we are quite good at in terms of the reporting we get back from when we're audited. So maintaining that level of governance and maintaining that level of change control is very important to us. Okay,